Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go an article titled, Woman Realizes That She's Been Accidentally Abusing Her Husband This Whole Time. Accidentally? Guys, this article is about a woman who basically has come to this big realization after years of nagging and berating her husband, basically how much of an asshole she's been and the damage she's done both to her husband and to her marriage, okay? And I'm doing this article, guys, because pretty much any guy that's watching this right now that's in a marriage, has been married, or a guy that's lived with a woman knows what this is like. Because it is them pretty much, you have varying degrees of this. You can have the mild nagging and bitching about the dumbest shit to it incessantly, okay? And this is the crap that you guys that are younger, if you think one day you want to get married, you can look forward to, okay? Again, in varying degrees. And I'm telling you, it is, it's a stereotype, but it's dead on. The nagging about the toilet seat being left up. The nagging about not taking the garbage out in a timely manner. The nagging because, God forbid, you got the wrong type of butter at the grocery store. Stuff like that. Making mountains out of molehill. And I'm going to address this real quick, guys, is this. One has to question, who is to blame for all this? Do you blame the woman for just being a giant pain in the ass and nagging and bitching and talking down to the guy and wearing him down and all that, treating him like crap? The same guy that she once liked and doing all this and causing damage to him and the relationship? Or do you blame the guy that doesn't act like a man and stand up for himself, draw a line in the sand and basically say, cut that bullshit out, and things like that, and basically appeases her thinking that will solve the problem? Who do you blame? Or both? And I'm going to address that at the end of the video, but you guys keep that in the back of your mind as I go through this story. And again, for you guys that are thinking it's a great idea one day to get married or move in with your girlfriend, you know, the girlfriend that you have right now that you think is so hot and so cool and so easygoing, and when you're together it's magical and birds sing and fireworks go off in the sky and bullshit like that. That girl, keep in mind this type of stuff is going to happen, okay? And for a lot of you guys, this is going to sound really familiar. So, starts off here saying, this is an honest, open story from a young woman about her marriage. There are some powerful truths spoken here, worthy of notice and reflection. If you're married, have ever been married, or plan on getting married eventually, this is for you. Absolutely is. Starts off here. She says, my aha moment happened because of a package of hamburger meat. I asked my husband to stop by the store to pick up a few things for dinner. And when he got home, he plopped the bag on the counter. I started pulling things out of the bag and realized he'd gotten the 70-30 hamburger meat, which means it's 70% lean and 30% fat. I asked, what's this? Hamburger meat, he replied, slightly confused. She says, you didn't get the right kind. I didn't, he replied with his brow furrowed. Was there some other brand you wanted me to get or something? No, you're missing the point. I said, you got the 70-30. I always get at least the 80-20. He laughed. Oh, that's all? I thought I'd really messed up or something. Good answer. That's how it all started. I launched into him. I berated him for not being smarter. Why would he not get the more healthy option? Did he ever read the labels? Why can't I trust him? Do I need to spell out every little thing for him in a minute detail so he gets it right? Also, and the thing I was probably most offended by, why wasn't he more observant? How could he not have noticed over the years what I always got? Does he not pay attention to anything I do? So I'm going to stop there. She's pissed off because he goes to the store, he gets the hamburger meat, and it's not the 80-20 she wants, it's the, God forbid, 70-30 brand. Not a huge difference, but she's bitching and complaining. And she's complaining and giving him a hard time and mad because she says that he doesn't read the labels, or that she can't trust him, or he isn't paying attention to what she buys in the past, stuff like that. At no time, guys, did she mention giving him advance notice that she specifically would like this particular brand. She wants him to be a mind reader. Okay? It doesn't work that way. But how many of you guys have been in situations like this where your woman, wife, girlfriend, fiance, whatever, gets mad because she expects you just to know what she wants, which we all know they don't know what they want, but the point is that it's stupid. But stuff like that. And let's just say the guy, maybe he wanted the different brand of the hamburger meat. Tough shit. He's the one doing the shopping. And if she doesn't like it, she can get in the car, go to the store, and buy the kind she likes. But again, All this over fucking hamburger meat? Guys, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. How many of you guys have been through this? As he sat there, bearing the brunt of my righteous indignation and mutteringly responses like, I never noticed, I really don't think it's that big a deal, and I'll get it right next time, I saw his face gradually take an expression that I've seen on him a lot in recent years. It was a combination of resignation and demoralization. He looked eerily like our son does when he gets chastised. That's when it hit me. Why am I doing this? I'm not his mom. Exactly. But guys, how many times have I told you about all the shit you see in movies and TV and commercials about how men behave, or at least how men are portrayed, how they have the actors behave in movies, TVs, and commercials, and how they had the women behave. Okay, it's not an accident. And you watch enough of this, people are going to start to act that way. Hollywood has the guys acting like these dumbasses, these clueless, boneheaded imbeciles that are incapable of doing anything right. And you have the women that are strong and together and smart and figure out all the problems and all that. And also bitch at their husbands about dumb shit. So you get men and women, starting when they're children, watching this shit for decades. Is it any wonder they start to begin to act that way? Right? Now, we're all accountable for our actions here, but this is a lot what television does. It's amazing. She goes on, I suddenly felt terrible and embarrassed for myself. He was right. It really wasn't anything to get bent out of shape over. And there I was doing just that, over a silly package of hamburger meat that he dutifully picked up from the grocery store just like I asked. If I had specific requirements, I should have been clearer. See? I didn't know how to gracefully extract myself from the conversation without coming across like I had some kind of split personality. So I just mumbled something like, yeah, I guess we'll make do with this. I'm going to start dinner. See, even then she realized she was wrong, but she couldn't even admit that she was wrong. So she had to change the subject and said, oh yeah, I'll make dinner. You know, the thing about accountability, right there. He seemed relieved it was over and he left the kitchen. Yeah, I'd leave the kitchen too. Is there any wonder, guys, in a lot of marriages, and maybe you guys are dealing with this now, or your parents were like this, or are like this, where a lot of times at home, you'll have the dad on one side of the house watching TV and doing his thing, and you'll have the mom on the other side of the house watching TV and doing her thing. It's not an accident, because he wants to get the hell away from her, because she's a giant pain in the ass. And don't get me wrong, you can get plenty of husbands that are a pain in the ass. And don't get me wrong, you can have husbands that do act like boneheads. I'm not going to deny that here. So it can be warranted on occasion if the wife can get annoyed. But a lot of times, just stupid shit like this. It's unbelievable. And they wonder why a lot of guys in marriages, a lot of men, stop being affectionate with their wives. Well, if they're always nagging them about bullshit and being a pain in the ass, why the hell would they want to hug them, kiss them, let alone sleep with them? Or eventually they want to divorce them, or they cheat. Is there any wonder why that happens? She continues, and then I sat there and thought long and hard about what I'd just done, and what I'd been doing to him for years, probably. The hamburger meat moment, as I've come to call it, certainly wasn't the first time I scolded him for doing something the way I thought it should be done. He was always putting something away in the wrong place, or leaving something out, or neglecting to do something altogether, and I was always right there to point it out to him. Why do I do that? How does it benefit me to constantly belittle my husband, the man that I've taken as my partner in life, the father of my children, the guy I want to have by my side as I grow old? Well, none of that's going to happen if you keep this bullshit up, lady. And for any women that watch this, if you pull this type of crap, cut it out now. Because believe me, if you're married and you're watching this, or if you have a boyfriend that you care about and you pull this kind of shit, I guarantee you, he is going to leave eventually. Cheat on you, leave, whatever happens to be. Why do I do what women are so often accused of and try to change the way he does every little thing? Well, because so many women are control freaks, and again, they're conditioned to act this way. Do I feel like I'm accomplishing something? Clearly not if I feel like I have to keep doing it. Why do I think it's reasonable to expect him to remember everything I want and do it just that way? The instances in which he does something differently doesn't mean he's wrong. When did my way become the only way? When did it become okay to constantly correct him and lecture him and point out every little thing I didn't like as if he were making some kind of mistake? There's the thing. Guys have their ways of doing things. Women have their ways of doing things. And it's interesting, but a lot of guys in marriages end up don't doing anything because they figure, hey, I'm not going to help with this and I'm not going to help with this because no matter what I do, she's going to bitch about it. So why does the guy even try? They go on vacation and you got to pack up the car. The guy's not going to help loading up at the car because guess what? She's not going to like the way he did it because she figures that she could have it organized in a better way. Or the guy doesn't pack the suitcase because she won't like the way he packs the suitcase because, she could find a way to squeeze more stuff in one suitcase instead of two. Or in smaller suitcases, they don't have to check a suitcase at the airport. Shit like that. So guys don't do anything. And then they bitch and complain because the guy doesn't help. See what I mean? But ultimately, we question, who do you blame more? The bitching wife or the husband that puts up with this shit? One can say, hey, even the strongest guy can get worn down to a little nothing and just become compliant, obedient, and behave like this. But this appeasement that a lot of guys do is the reason this shit goes on and continues. When in human history has appeasement worked with an aggressor or a bully? It doesn't end well. Same thing here. She continues, and how does it benefit him? Does it make him think, wow, I'm sure glad she was there to set me straight? I highly doubt it. He probably feels like I'm harping on him for no reason whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure it makes him think his best approach in regards to me is either stop doing the things around the house or avoid me altogether. What'd I just say? Avoid her altogether. He has his side of the house and she has hers. Or he's spending a long time in the bathroom, just in his little man office in the bathroom, checking out Facebook or reading the news, sports or whatever, to avoid her at all costs. And stop doing all these things. Sound familiar, guys? 2 cases in point. Number 1, I recently found a shard of glass on the kitchen floor. I asked him what happened. He said he broke a glass that night. When I asked him why he didn't tell me, he said, I just cleaned it up and threw it away because I didn't want you to have a conniption fit over it. See? Number 2, I was taking out the trash and found a pair of blue tube socks in the bin outside. I asked him what happened and why he'd thrown them away. He said, they accidentally got in the wash with my jeans. Every time I put in laundry, you feel the need to remind me not to mix colors and whites. I didn't want you to see them and reinforce your obvious belief that I don't know how to wash clothes after 35 years. So we got to the point where he felt it was a better idea or just plain easier to cover things up than admit he made a human error. What kind of environment have I created where he feels he's not allowed to make mistakes? This sounds so familiar. This shit didn't happen in my house, and I'm really glad it didn't happen with my mom and dad. But this happens in a lot of situations. I had a girlfriend. Real quick story here to make my point. 10 years ago, I had a girlfriend I was living with. And so, yes, I've done some of these things I tell you guys not to do. So I have experience in this department. She was graduating law school, okay? And before graduation, she was going to throw a little party for some of her friends and her family. They're coming into town for the graduation. And she got a lot on her plate. And so I went and got a lot of the stuff for the party, the snacks and things like that, right? And one of the things she wanted was, because we had a whole bunch of snacks and cold cuts and cheeses and crackers and all that stuff like that and alcohol, she wanted these specific crackers. Regular Triscuits. I like garlic Triscuits. And when I was out, I bought the garlic Triscuits. I come home with all this stuff and everything like that. I took time out of my schedule to help her and get all this shit for the party, not to mention entertain her parents. And my buddy was over, and I'm unloading all this shit, and I said, I got the garlic Triscuits. And I said, watch, bro, because she was coming home soon. Watch her throw a little hissy fit over the fucking Triscuits. And so we put the shit away, and we're hanging out, watching a show or something like that. And she comes in. Not 1 minute goes by, but she comes walking out into the TV room with me and him with the box of Triscuits saying, you got the wrong Triscuits. No joke. And he starts laughing, and I'm laughing because I told him it was going to happen, right? I just knew it was, and I didn't care. And the more we laughed, the more annoyed she got. But eventually, she cooled off and obviously realized she was being kind of an asshole because guess what? I took time out of my schedule to go do the fucking shopping and get all this stuff for her party and all that. And I could have handled it differently. I could have been like, I'm sorry, I'll go get it right now. No, fuck that shit. I didn't do that. We laughed it off because she was acting like a jackass. At no time did she thank me for going out and doing all that, but she got pissed off about the stupid crackers. But ultimately, my laughing and my friends laughing diffused the situation. She cooled down, end of story. And she went out and got the crackers. That's how psycho she was about the stupid crackers being right. But she went and got it. So you don't have to, a situation like this, you don't take it, guys. Okay, period. But you laugh it off when she's acting nuts. Okay, you can easily be like, you effing this and da-da-da-da. That's going to make the matter worse if you are in a relationship that you actually want to keep. But in terms of she's throwing a hissy fit, just laugh. Make her realize how ridiculous she's being, okay? And she didn't pull that kind of crap very often, but I knew about those stupid crackers because she was having a party. She'd throw a little fit over it, and it happened. And my buddy and I just laughed our asses off. So upon reading this story, guys, I know what this woman's talking about, and I've been through some of this shit before, too. It's ridiculous. Stupid crackers, right? All right, had to share my little personal story. I'll get back to the article. So it goes on to say, continues on, I now know what it means, this thing that you get so upset over every small detail or matter of opinion or a preference, and I don't see why you're making it such a big deal. But from my end, I came to interrupt it over time that he didn't care about my happiness or trying to do things the way I think they should be done. I came to view it like this guy just doesn't get it. I am clearly the brains of the operation. See, that's the boo-hoo thing, like, oh, he doesn't care to make me happy. Give me a break. I started thinking about what I observed with my friends' relationships and things my girlfriends would complain about regarding their husbands. And I realized that I wasn't alone. Somehow, too many women have fallen into the belief that wife always knows best. There's even a phrase to reinforce it. Here we go. Ready, guys? Happy wife, happy life. That doesn't leave a lot of room for his opinions, does it? More like happy life, no wife. It's an easier stereotype to buy into. Look at the media, movies, TV, advertisements. They're all filled with images of hapless husbands and clever wives. He can't cook. He can't take care of the kids. If you send him out to get 3 things, he'll come back with 2, and they'll be wrong. We see it again and again. What I tell you guys really about TV, movies, commercials, media. And by the way, we all know who has a very strong influence in Hollywood. Members of the you-know-what movement. And they want to portray men as fucking morons and women as strong and together and all that. And guess what? It's done its damage. What this constant nagging and harping does is send a message to our husbands that says, we don't respect you. We don't think you're smart enough to do things right. We expect you to mess up. And when you do, you'll be called out on a swiftly and without reservation. Given this kind of negative reinforcement, over time, he feels like nothing he can do is right in your eyes. If he's confident with himself and who he is, he'll come to resent you. If he's all unsure about himself, he'll start to believe you. And if he becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Neither one is a desirable, beneficial outcome to you, him, or the marriage. This is a lot like a typical marriage in varying degrees. Sometimes it's mild, sometimes it's a lot. Did my husband do the same to me? Just as I'm sure there are untold numbers of women who don't ever do this kind of thing to their husbands, I'm sure there are men who do it to their wives too. Oh, put the blame on us. Come on here. I've never heard guys nagging their wives because she didn't take the trash out or she got the wrong thing at the store or anything like that, like what we're talking about here in this article. I've never known one guy that's ever done that. I've never heard any story about that. So don't put that crap on us, lady. She says here, but I don't think it's a typical male characteristic. As I sat and thought about it, I realized my husband didn't display the same behavior towards me. And I even thought about some of the other times I really did make mistakes. The time I backed into the gate and scratched the car. He never said a word about it. The time I was making dinner, got distracted by a call from my mom and burned it to cinders. He just said, we can order a pizza. The time I tried to put the new patio furniture together and left his good tools out in the rain. Accidents happen was his only response. See? From burning the dinner to actually ruining his tools. Did he blow up? Did he throw a conniption fit? Did he make a mountain out of a molehill? No, because guys don't do that kind of crap. Some guys might, but by and large, guys don't do that. So, but at the end of the day, women have an emotion-based operating system. They're emotional as all hell. And guys are generally calm and based on logic and reason. There's no point in blowing up over these things. There's no point in making a mountain out of a molehill. There's no point in having all this drama. But women thrive on drama, and we all know it. But it's the guy whose job is that when she starts throwing a hissy fit, you stay calm, you kind of laugh it off like I did, like I told you about earlier, and just diffuse the situation. This is, again, if indeed you guys actually want to be in a relationship where you're actually living in the same place with the woman. I warn you against doing it, but if you're going to do it, you need to handle it the right way. Because you obviously want to be with this woman. But just dumb shit like this, it's completely unnecessary. But so many women do it. But you guys can't put up with it. Continues, I shudder to think what I would have said had the shoe been on the other foot and he had made those mistakes. Yeah, if he had done those things, she would have lost her mind. So is he just a better person than me? Why doesn't he bite my head off when I do these things the way he likes? I'd be a fool to think that it doesn't happen, and yet I don't remember him ever calling me out on it. It doesn't seem he's as intent as changing the way I do things, but why? Because he's a man and doesn't work that way. That's why. Maybe I should take what he always said at face value. The fact that these little things really don't matter that much to him is not a sign that he's lazy or that he's incapable of learning or that he just doesn't give a damn about what I want. Maybe to him, the small details are not that important in his mind, and justifiably so. They're not the kind of things to start fights over. They're not the kind of things he needs to change about me. It certainly doesn't make him dumb or inept. He's just not as concerned with some of the minutiae as I am. And it's why he doesn't freak out when he's on the other side of the fence. Exactly. There are too many other things in life that are important. And about the thing about the guy going to the store and not getting what she wants him to get, even though she didn't tell him, because guess what? Guys have a lot more important things on their mind. We got things like paying the bills, keeping our jobs, doing a good job at our jobs or business, making sure taxes are paid on time. Important things like that, like that. Making sure our family members are doing okay. We're not worried about little minor crap. And as for the whole thing about guys not listening to all the things, guys can only take in so much per day. Because women talk like a typical woman says 4 or 5 times more in one day than a guy does. Okay, we can only absorb so much of the talking. We can't take so much of it. That's why you get a bunch of guys together, it's a lot less talking, but you get a bunch of women together, and they remember everything they said. It's insane. We just don't do that. The bottom line is, all this is that I chose this man as my partner. He's not my servant, he's not my employee, he's not my child. I didn't think he was stupid when I married him, otherwise I wouldn't have. He doesn't need to be reprimanded by me because I don't like the way he does some things. Well, start putting what you're talking about into practice. That's what I say to this lady writing this thing, okay? Shut the hell up over this stupid shit and basically put a cork in it. We don't want to hear it. And the guy's a good guy, obviously, because I guarantee you he has a job and pays the bills and takes care of things and has your back, but you're going to give him a hard time about this dumb shit? Come on. When I got to that point mentally, it then made me start thinking about all the good things about him. He's intelligent, he's a good person, he's devoted, he's awesome with the kids, and he always helps around the house. Just not always to my liking. She had to add that. Even more, not only does he refrain from giving me grief when I make mistakes or do things differently than him, he's always been very agreeable to my way of doing things. And for the most part, if he notices I prefer to do something a certain way, he tries to remember it in the future. Instead of focusing on those wonderful things, I just harped on the negative. And again, I know I'm not alone in this. At least she can admit it, but I again want to know if she's going to put this into practice later on in time after writing her little come to Jesus moment and great realization here. If we keep attempting to make our husbands feel small or foolish or inept because they occasionally mess up, and she puts in parentheses, and I use that term to also mean doing things differently than us, then eventually they're going to stop trying to do things. Or worse yet, they'll actually come to believe those labels are true. Again, like I said earlier, the guys will just stop trying. What's the point? No matter what the guy does, she's going to bitch about it anyway, so shit, I'm not doing anything. In my case, it's my husband of 12 plus years I'm talking about. The same man who thanklessly changed my car tire in the rain. The guy who taught our kids to ride bikes. The person who stayed with me at the hospital all night when my mom was sick. The man who always worked hard to make a decent living and support his family. He knows how to change the oil in the car. He can reinstall my computer's operating system. He lifts things for me that are too heavy and opens stuck jar lids. He shovels the sidewalk. He can put up a ceiling fan. He fixes the toilet when it won't stop running. I can't do any of those things. And yet I give him grief about a dish out of place. He's a good man who does a lot for me and doesn't deserve to be harassed over little things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Now we're talking here. But again, let's see how she... I'd like to know how she, after having this realization and putting this on online, I'd like to know if she, a year later, still... if she's actually, her actions are following her words here. Since my revelation, I try to catch myself when I start to nag. I'm not always 100% consistent, shocker, but I know I've gotten a lot better. And I've seen that one little change make a big improvement in our relationship. Things seem more relaxed. We seem to be getting along better. Imagine that. Things are better in her relationship since she stopped nagging. All of a sudden they're getting along better. They're more relaxed. He probably wants to be around her more. Imagine that. It's not hard, ladies. Stop being an asshole and the guy will actually enjoy being around you. I think we're both starting to see each other more as trusted partners, not as adversarial opponents at odds with each other in our day-to-day existence. I've even come to accept that sometimes his way of doing things may be better. There's an idea. It takes two to make a partnership. No one is always right and no one is always wrong. And you're not always going to see eye to eye on every little thing. It doesn't make you smarter or superior or more right to point out every little thing he does that's not to your liking. Ladies, remember, it's just hamburger meat. There you go. It is just hamburger meat. So back to what I talked about in the beginning. Whose fault is it really? Is it the fault of the nagging, bitching wife or girlfriend that's always in the guy's ass about stupid shit? Or is it the fault of the guy that puts up with it and doesn't stand up for himself and all that? Well, my answer is both. So, any ladies that are watching this right now, cut the shit, okay? The little things, it doesn't matter. The toilet seat up, the toothpaste cap off, not taking the trash out, not arranging things in the car for a vacation the way you want, things like that. It doesn't matter because believe me, he does a lot of great things for you. Trust me, okay? And he's not stupid. He's got more important things to focus on. Okay, so it's women's fault in that area, and they got to cut that shit out. And also, guess what? It's also guys' fault. Guys, you can't tolerate this bullshit. Okay, you can't think that, hey, if I just go along with her bitching and go by her plan, that it'll stop. Okay, because I don't want to get any more of it. No, it will keep going. Appeasement does not make a bully, because she's acting like a bully. Appeasement does not make a bully back off. Appeasement only encourages the bully, the aggressor, to keep doing what they're doing because they get their way. You don't do that, okay? If she's acting ridiculous, if she's gotten on your ass, you stand up for yourself. But here's the thing. If you are in a relationship, you're in a marriage, whatever, or you're living together, and you want to continue this, if that's what you want, I'm not saying that's what I recommend, but if that's what you're in, that's what you want, you need to handle the situation in a way that is going to cause a screaming match. And the best way is usually through humor and just when she's acting ridiculous, to laugh it off and make her realize she's being ridiculous. And of course, in a way that she understands, cut the crap. You don't put up with this, guys, okay? Because it'll only make it get worse, okay? Be a man, don't tolerate this bullshit, and do what you want to do. And if you go to the store and you get the wrong kind of hamburger meat and she's bitching about it, you say, hey, this is what I want. End of story, and just smile. Say, you got hands, you have a car, you can drive over to Whole Foods or wherever you go and pick up the hamburger meat you like. But this is what I want. End of story. And probably on some level, she probably will respect you and actually be turned on by you standing up for yourself. Isn't that interesting? Anyhow, guys, I thought this was a fun article to do because we all dealt with this nagging bullshit before, whether personally with relationships or seen our mothers or our grandmothers or aunties or friends' wives. We've known it. We've seen it happen. So stand up for yourself. And to the ladies, tone it down big time. Cut the shit. It's not that important. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.